The new moon solar eclipse in Aries is coming on the 29th of March, and I'm here to help you use it to stand up for yourself. Hi, if you're new here, my name is Hannah and welcome back, Cosmic Warriors. Before we do dive into today's video, if you want to learn more about astrology, then head on over to the Cosmic Check-In podcast. And if you would like to book a reading with me, then go to hannahselsewhere.com. And I also want to give a special shout out to the sponsor of today's video, Astopia. Make sure to keep watching to learn more about Astopia. I hope you enjoy the video. Let's do this. Okay, so the solar eclipse in Aries 2025, let's discuss. The sun and moon will meet in the sign of Aries at 9 degrees. A Sagittarius degree. There appears to be something rather freeing and explorative about the solar eclipse, as if there is something we are ready and willing to move away from. We want more. We seek a new path. Perhaps you have, for example, outgrown a situation, or your morals and your principles just no longer align. Now, the eclipse will also occur within the Mars decan, indicating self-assertion changes, making room for a new path, being mindful of our goals and our aims, being a leader, and following our passions. Even the eclipse will sextile Jupiter in Gemini, pointing to growth, curiosity, asking ourselves the bigger questions. Indeed, for many, the solar eclipse in Aries represents a major turning point. And Aries asks us to be brave about this next step. Even though fear may present itself, it's about doing the thing anyway. Consider also how Mercury retrograde will be in Aries at 0 degrees, highlighting a fresh start, new beginnings, rethinking the next step, and what we actually want out of life. It's like we're really being called to reach higher, further, and to not give up, to not be a coward. See, this is about being a warrior with soul, a warrior who knows what is true for them, to live authentically and in alignment with our spiritual path. See, the even more mind-blowing thing about the eclipse is how Neptune will enter Aries the very next day, and then Mercury retrograde will move back into Pisces. So as Mercury retrograde and Neptune meet so closely, there is this message of spiritual redirection, asking ourselves questions like, does this situation serve me well? And in which ways have I been fooling myself, deceiving myself? The symbols and the signs and the synchronicities, they have been everywhere leading up to the solar eclipse. And for those of us who have been paying close attention, we refuse to be blinded by the empty promises, by the false hope, by the idealized future that actually leads to nowhere. You know what I'm talking about. Relationships based on falsehood. The types that keep us hooked like a drug, addicted to the connection in this sick and twisted game. Keep in mind, Venus retrograde in Pisces also conjuncts Neptune in Pisces under the solar eclipse, suggesting blurred vision within relationships, as if we are walking through a fog. We cannot see things very clearly. Trickery may occur, smokes and mirrors, but when we can direct our energy within, our voice speaks. Our intuition can guide us. So, what could this look like? Facing the reality of a relationship or friendship that doesn't really do us any good anymore. It might have served a purpose once, but it no longer does. And that's okay. This might also play out as accepting a job situation for what it is, trying to remain calm, trusting that all will work out. Or this could manifest as passively allowing for a relationship to reveal itself, rather than trying so hard to control and manage it with all your might. Indeed, there is something highly intuitive and receptive about the solar eclipse in Aries. A new chapter is upon us, an exciting one at that, but we must be willing to walk through the darkness, through the mist, trusting that we will make it to the other side. See, it might feel like many of us are lost at sea, feeling directionless. Where the heck do we go from here? Feeling unsupported is likely. Feeling lonely as well, as if there is nowhere to turn. Change, of course, in this regard, it can be difficult. Having to adjust our lives in such a drastic way can feel almost impossible to overcome. Seeing the positive is tough as we see no way out. We see no way forward. However, if you are someone who is changing your direction in a major way this eclipse season, or this year even, because 2025 is a major transitional year, remember that you will make it through. The tides change. Nothing is permanent. Your life will not look like this forever. Perhaps you have a previous life change experience that you can really draw from as a way to support you. Or maybe you can use the solar eclipse in Aries as an opportunity to write down your goals, what you want, your desires, your passions, or you can do something new and exciting, maybe reach a new personal best. Getting out, moving your body can be really supportive and quite grounding too. To do something physical. Or perhaps you can use the Astopia app to help you out this eclipse season. Astopia is an astrology app that lets you read your stars with ease. And during this eclipse season, they are offering personalized insights on what you can expect from both the lunar eclipse in Virgo, that recently happened, plus the solar eclipse in Aries. Astopia's tailored astrological guidance can help support you along your journey, and they can offer you some transformative reflections that are unique to you. You even get weekly and monthly revelations, plus annual forecasts, all catered to your sky throughout 2025. To download the Astopia app, go to the link in the description. And I just want to say thank you so much to Astopia for sponsoring today's video. Now also consider how Chiron in Aries will square the very ruler of the eclipse. So Mars is still in Cancer. They're making the same degree, by the way, 22 degrees. Therefore, be gentle with yourself. Be kind to your physical body and trust in the decisions you're making for your life during this time. That they serve a very specific or greater purpose. After a long time of rethinking your wants and your goals from a place of protection and support, remember your worth. Remember the healing you have performed so far. Make the effort to not fall back into the same sort of people-pleasing habits or to engage in the same self-sabotaging behaviors. See, this is an eclipse of standing up for ourselves, asserting ourselves, saying, actually, I have a right to be here. I am allowed to take up space. In a large way, this is about feeling safe within your body. So how can you stand up for yourself under this solar eclipse? Well, one way is to be clear, to be direct about what you want. Seeing that no is a sentence. No helps us set healthy boundaries. If there is something you do not agree with, then say you don't agree. If you want to sort something out with a spouse, a partner, a friend, be open and clear about your views. Advocate for yourself. Speak up. Know and trust when a situation is over. This could be a job, a role, a relationship, a study, a practice, a spending habit. Whatever it is, standing up for yourself can look like walking away and being very firm about your decision. This is not about giving up. This is about making informed decisions. Decisions you have been thinking over for quite some time. Even Mercury retrograde will sextile Pluto, and the eclipse will lightly sextile Pluto too. Pointing to what? Well, potential endings. Outgrowing that relationship or that title. This is about transcendence and evolution, progression, admitting to yourself when you no longer agree. Think about how eclipses have been happening on the Aries Libra axis since 2023. And this is the final eclipse on this axis for another 8 years or so. And then the North Node will not be in Aries for another 18 years or so, right? Meaning it is time to advocate for yourself, to be independent, to recognize what you have learned over the past couple of years when it comes to these very themes, and to allow for the closing of a chapter to occur so that you can welcome a new one. Consider also Neptune, right? So Neptune entering Aries the very next day. It's no coincidence here. Indeed, for many, we are about to embark on a new spiritual quest of self-discovery and personal growth. We will live to fight a new battle with new challenges to learn from. And whether we recognized it or not, Mars retrograde in Cancer and Leo was an opportunity for us to prepare for this very victory, to prepare for this victory dance. Your instincts could very well be screaming at you under this eclipse, your gut just tugging at you. So make sure to listen. I hope you are enjoying this video so far, and if you are, please be sure to give it a like and subscribe for more. And of course, if you would like to learn more about astrology, then you can always pick up a copy of my astrology cheat sheets. The links are in the description box. Thank you so much. Now also remember, the North Node is in Pisces, aligning with the planets in Pisces, meaning this new spiritual quest is a part of your direction. Continue to devote more time to the spiritual around this period and try your best to focus on what is really important, what really matters to you. Make peace with the past, disentangle yourself from an unfulfilling situation. Pour into your own cup, right? Says Neptune in Aries. You only have so much energy to give to others, and there are people out there who demand far too much from you. So be cautious. Those who love you will understand that you only have so much to give. And as for Saturn, well, Saturn is also involved, adding to some stability, foundation, security. Sure, our inner security is still being rocked and shaken by our own doubts, confusions, illusions. But hopefully over the past couple of years, you have been able to view Saturn as a mighty spiritual teacher. A spiritual teacher of emotional resilience, spiritual insight, healthy skepticism, developing healthy boundaries, of course. Seeing that the truth of certain situations can present itself without us having to interfere. Wolves in sheep's clothing reveal themselves. We eventually see people for who they truly are behind their mask, behind their facade. And as Saturn and Uranus begin their same degree sextile in Pisces and Taurus, what an enlightening time for self-worth upgrades as we pull back the layers when exploring our own unconscious drives and motivations. One more quick thing to mention though, do remember the first quarter moon in Aries will occur around the end of 2025, meaning the intentions we set under this eclipse related to our self-assertion, related to leadership, independence, and standing up for ourselves, well, they will be challenged and tested around that time. Perhaps we can end 2025 strengthening such matters. And then by the end of September of 2026, the full moon in Aries will occur, indicating a release, a shedding, a letting go. We will reap what we sowed under the solar eclipse. Perhaps by that time, many of us will be so glad that we took the time throughout 2025, well, to make ourselves a priority, that we were brave enough. We were brave enough to stand up for ourselves by saying the powerful word, no. Okay, so with the astrology being explained, let's now get into your horoscopes. And I do just want to say thank you so much for watching. Okay, so first up we have Aries. So Aries, this is about you standing up for yourself when it comes to this next big step in your life, embarking on a new mission, a new quest, very much tied to your personal aims and goals and what you want out of life. Consider also how you have been looking within yourself a great deal over the past 14 years, maybe recovery, healing, being in this cocooning phase of your life. Spiritual values and practices have been huge themes. Maybe experiencing some kind of like an awakening, right? And a spiritual awakening in this regard. And do keep in mind as well that, well, with Mars being the ruler of the solar eclipse, a lot of this is about emotional support. You feeling emotionally safe and secure within yourself. Thank you, Aries. And now on to Taurus. So Taurus, the ways in which you are going to really think about standing up for yourself, well, this is about you being able to go behind the scenes or being able to rest or retreat whenever you need to. Perhaps this is also about a new spiritual quest, a new spiritual mission for you, or something about recovery, something about healing. Your spiritual values will be highlighted here. And at the same time, over the past 14 years or so, I think you've been learning great lessons about how to set healthy boundaries between you and others, even thinking about how much you take on collectively. But equally, I think it has been a time of finding the kinds of people that align with you on a more spiritual level. And hey, this is also tied in with communication. So communicating effectively with others, or maybe even having to recognize potential conflicts within yourself when it comes to conversations, or maybe being misunderstood or misrepresented in some way, shape, or form. So this is where we're going to see you embark on this new sort of quest based on the very lessons that have came up. Thank you, Taurus. And now on to Gemini. So Gemini, the ways in which you're going to stand up for yourself around this solar eclipse is by being that leader, being that pioneer within the team, within the group, someone who can stand up for the groups, be a voice, right? Act as a voice, act as a representative for the people, for people within the club or wherever it is. Maybe this is even about you wanting to bring something of quality to the masses. This could be even about your social media presence, for instance. But of course, you know, we also want to think about how over the past 14 years, you have been coming to terms with maybe outgrowing a career path, or recognizing what you don't want from a career, from something that you do more publicly, professionally, seeing in which ways you have outgrown certain areas and positions. Plus, these things are very much tied in with your income. So thinking about your resources. And so this is about you hopefully moving forward with this greater grit, or this greater certainty, or recognizing, yeah, these are my values and this is the path. This is the new path that I want to create based on my values, right? Thank you, Gemini. And now on to Cancer. So Cancer, the solar eclipse will happen in your 4th house, or your 10th house rather. So this is about standing up for yourself, Cancer, when it comes to this person that you're striving to become known for. This is about your reputation. This is about maybe your brand. This could also be about professionalism, accomplishments, achievements. So you're thinking really about the long game in many ways here, Cancer. And so this is where you're going to stand up for yourself, basically. This is where you're going to be a leader, be a doer. Plus, what has happened is Mars has been in your sign. Therefore, this is about your aims, this is about your goals, and this next big chapter of your life. Plus, over the past 14 years or so, it's been a good way for you to maybe come to terms with what your beliefs are, what your worldviews are, which kinds of worldviews you've outgrown, which ones just no longer align with you or support you, spiritually speaking. Thank you, Cancer. And now on to Leo. Okay, so Leo, I'm going to say this. Yes, this could be a very deep and profound solar eclipse. Sure, a big part of it could be about standing up for yourself when it comes to your philosophies, your worldviews. Self-exploration is big here, asking yourself the bigger questions, really considering what you want when it comes to your future aspirations, Leo. So that part can be really exciting. But of course, we do notice that Mars has been in your 12th house for quite a while, and with the retrograde and everything, therefore it's safe to say here, Leo, that a lot of emotional stuff has really risen to the surface, and maybe you've had to take some extra time to yourself to heal, to feel, just to be in that cocooning phase for a bit. Plus, with Neptune having been in your 8th house for the past 14 years or so, all of the trickery, all of the illusional stuff to do with intimacy, to do with trust, that stuff has, of course, very much tied to the past, by the way, thinking about even your upbringing, your, any repressions, any past traumas, things like that. So therefore, I hope that you've been able to maybe gain some kind of support for these heavier emotions, these deeper emotions. And at the same time, in another way, this could be about you gaining valuable insights from such emotional depths, from being able to maybe explore your psychology on a deeper level, addressing your unconscious, your shadow in this regard. Though maybe in some way, shape or form, this is also looking at a significant release, which could be very therapeutic and healing for you, Leo. Thank you, Leo. And now on to Virgo. Okay, so Virgo, we're also noticing these pretty intense, profound emotional themes for you, Virgo. And with the solar eclipse, of course, happening in your 8th house, this indeed is about a rebirth. It's about some kind of transformation related to your sense of self, your identity, what you want out of life, making yourself a priority perhaps. And then with the same token, we notice how perhaps you've had to face past battles or past arguments with friends or with other people within the group, within the team. Maybe this is even about having to address your own personal opinions when it comes to collective matters as well. So we're seeing even those possible triggers and things of that nature that you've addressed over the past while. So indeed, this is about you perhaps following into the next stage of your life, just taking the lead and just saying, I can do this. But then also consider how Neptune has been in your 7th house for the past 14 years. And so there are themes to do with setting healthy boundaries. There are themes to do with projections and maybe confusions and illusions, distortions with relation to other people, and having to maybe address, okay, why do I attract these kinds of people into my life? What am I bringing to this situation? Therefore, this could be a really profound way of seeing how much you've changed, or having this attitude of, I want to change. I want to embrace this new chapter of my life where I'm not just thinking about the needs of everybody else. Oh yes, Virgo, this is about standing up for yourself when it comes to the parts of you that you have suppressed or denied. It's time to awaken. It's time to transform. Thank you, Virgo. And now on to Libra. All right, so Libra, of course, the solar eclipse will happen in your 7th house, so it will oppose you. Therefore, other people have something to offer you. It's almost like other people can reflect back at you. Hey, this is what you've got to do moving forward. Maybe this is about gaining some kind of support from a close friend, from a loved one, from your partner, your spouse, or this could be about even standing up for yourself when it comes to your relationship, seeing what you are just no longer going to put up with when it comes to one-to-one relationships as well. This is about standing in your power, Libra. But then equally, perhaps in a large way, this has been about having to refine, having to rethink what you want out of life, right? What it is that you want for the future, what it is when it comes to your accomplishments and achievements, because Mars, of course, was retrograde in your 10th house. And then, thinking about how those things are tied to your emotional support, your family, your loved ones, providing for yourself. And then equally, Neptune has been in your 6th house for the past 14 years, Libra. And so therefore, this is also about recognizing what you have outgrown, schedule-wise, routine-wise, work-wise. For example, this could be about you no longer feeling aligned with the work situation. Just spiritually speaking, emotionally speaking, you don't feel like it's serving you very well. And so maybe a part of this is about being able to walk away or just being able to make some significant changes so that you feel a lot more healthier. Thank you so much, Libra. Moving on to Scorpio. So Scorpio, the solar eclipse will happen in your 6th house. Therefore, the ways in which you're really going to be called to stand up for yourself is by seeing, okay, how can I make my health a priority? How can I push back against others who get in the way of my personal growth, my personal day-to-day progress? Stress levels could be a big thing here. Having to maybe look at where you feel tension, where you feel stressed out to a large extent, and wanting to maybe seek a new path. Could even be a different job, a different role. It could be a different health regime that you begin. Something that just is going to support you in a more healthy way. And then we also want to think about how this stuff is tied to your beliefs, what you believe to be true about yourself, about the world, maybe having to address certain limiting beliefs, certain limiting worldviews. So some adjustments perhaps have been happening for you. But then again, this could also be about the bigger picture. So trying to look at things from through a wider lens so that you can get clear about, okay, well, these are the smaller steps that I need to take on a day-to-day basis to help me get there. Thinking about your goals and your aims in this regard. Keep in mind that Mars has been in your 9th house and Mars is one of your rulers. Now, as for Neptune has been in your 5th house for the past 14 years or so. And so therefore, we are noticing some significant shifts and changes to do with your creativity, the things you enjoy, the things that you find to be pleasurable. Could also be romantic relationships. We're seeing spiritual changes, maybe feeling a lot more spiritually connected with a significant other, with a lover. But equally, this could also be about seeing where you're no longer aligned, right? There could be some kind of ending, a closing related to love or your hobbies, maybe starting a new creative project, for example. Thank you so much, Scorpio. And now on to Sagittarius. So Sagittarius, the ways in which you're going to stand up for yourself around this solar eclipse, well, it could be related to romantic relationships, for example. Maybe seeing, okay, a new beginning, a new chapter, a shift, right? This fresh start. Thinking also about the relationship you have with your children, or this could also be about your creative projects, things that you enjoy, your hobbies. So there could be a significant new beginning here happening. And then equally, we also want to think about how, well, with Mars in your 8th house, this stuff is tied to that. So what I mean by this, we're noticing you possibly having to address intimacy issues and concerns. Trust could be a big thing here. No longer feeling aligned within a commitment. Perhaps seeing in which ways things are not working, shared resource wise. So you sharing resources, finances with another. And so there could be some tension there. Or this could also be about your own psychological journey, right? Tied to the past, having to address past traumas and repressions. A lot of healing, of course, in this regard, a lot of depth, very heavy. But also could just be a lot, this stuff could really just wear on you a lot. So we do want to think about how especially with Neptune being connected in with this. So Neptune has been in your 4th house for the past 14 years. So it's safe to say that yes, very emotional. Perhaps it's a very emotional time for you, Sagittarius, and just having to address the past, or it's about seeing in which ways you've outgrown certain people, certain emotional attachments that you were so sort of connected in with, and maybe certain family members, a certain spouse or partner. But those relationships, maybe you're coming to learn, they're no longer aligned with you. They don't support you spiritually. So we are seeing a potential new chapter when it comes to especially really intimate connections, trusting more private connections. So for example, this could be a spouse, this could be a family member, this could be a close friend. So in this regard, Sagittarius, standing up for yourself could look like you advocating for yourself, advocating for your individuality and what your desires are, what your personal pleasures are. Go easy on yourself, Sagittarius. But moving on to Capricorn. Okay, so Capricorn, the solar eclipse will happen in your 4th house. Therefore, we are noticing a fresh start, new beginnings tied to family. Okay, so this could, of course, play out in a few different ways, whether this be starting a family, adding to your family, wanting to separate from certain family members, changing something about your living situation, about your environment, or this could be about you wanting to keep things private as you're trying to process heavier emotions, okay? And of course, this is also about standing up for yourself when it comes to family relationships. For instance, this could be about wanting to remove yourself from certain family dynamics that are not very healthy, they're not good for you. Or this could be about seeing just in which ways you want to be more independent, right? To be more independent from certain family traditions that you no longer connect with, just as some examples, of course. And equally, with Mars naturally being in your 7th house, this is about you and a significant other. This could be about you and your spouse, the decisions that you make as a couple, as a team. Or this could be about you rethinking how it is that you and your significant other might differ. So there could be some differences in opinion, and those kinds of opinions, those differences perhaps have been explored in a larger way over the past couple of months. So I'm going to say that. So there could be some clarity perhaps in this regard. You just know where you stand perhaps in a greater way between you and your significant other. But equally, hey, this stuff could also be linked to business partnerships, contracts, agreements. Plus, with Neptune being in your 3rd house for the past 14 years, perhaps this is about making peace with a sibling relationship. This could be about the kindness and the compassion that you show yourself. So how you talk to yourself is another example. This could also be about just the confusion about maybe where it is that you're situated within your local area, how you maybe interact with people within your local community. So maybe there are some spiritual insights that are really coming through here, or just seeing, hey, how you've maybe outgrown certain relationships. Could be tied to childhood friends, for example. Thank you, Capricorn. And now onto Aquarius. So Aquarius, with the solar eclipse happening in your 3rd house, we are noticing new beginnings to do with, communication, to do with study, to do with learning, but equally could be some new beginnings to do with people you interact with on a more daily basis, thinking even about the conversations you have with people on social media, and just being a bit more confident and bold and assertive, right? So in this regard, standing up for yourself when it comes to what you actually think, what it is that your opinions are, and being confident in what your opinions are, what your views are. So we're seeing these fresh starts. And the other thing to add to this is that this stuff could be tied in with your work, your job, heck, your health could be a big thing here. So for example, this could be about how you confidently assert yourself within your job amongst your co-workers, just standing up for yourself in this way, right? And then the other thing to add to this is Neptune has been in your 2nd house for the past 14 years. Therefore, we could see you coming to terms with how it is that you have supported yourself financially over the past 14 years. What have you learned in terms of how much you might just give, maybe over giving, or in how have you maybe been extra wishful? So wishful thinking could be a big part of this, or being overly idealistic about finances as well. But equally, I think this is a good way for you to see, what are your spiritual values, right? What are your spiritual values when it comes to how you earn money, how you make it? And maybe this is about living in accordance with those spiritual values. So when you reflect, hopefully you can see how you have changed as a person because of those values. Thank you, Aquarius. And now on to Pisces. So Pisces, the solar eclipse will happen in your second house. And so this is about standing up for yourself when it comes to leadership values, pioneering values. Financial matters really coming into focus here. How you wish to maybe be independent when it comes to your finances, or wanting to take the lead in some way, shape, or form financially, security-wise as well. And then we also notice with Mars, Mars has been in your 5th house, and it will be in your 5th house under the eclipse. Therefore, I'm thinking to myself, is this about the money that you earn from your creativity, from certain creative projects? Is this about being able to provide for your children, for your family? Is that a big theme for you? Really important? Maybe feeling the pressure over the past while, to having to take on extra hours for such reasons. Or, hey, this could also be about wanting to support your lovers, right? So thinking about romance and love under the 5th house. Perhaps this is a solar eclipse where you think, yeah, I'm ready to take that job. I'm ready to take that role because I imagine this kind of life with my partner. This is the kind of life that we dream of having together. Just as some examples, of course, there. And this is also where, you're going to stand up for yourself. You're going to maybe stand up for yourself by saying, yes, I want to make that kind of money from my job. Or these are my values and I'm going to stay true to my values. And lastly, of course, we do want to consider how Neptune has been in your 1st house for the past 14 years, Pisces. Therefore, this is also about recognizing how much you have grown spiritually. I'm considering how much you have even changed as a person and how your path has changed, maybe because of spiritual enlightenment or spiritual awakenings, or because you have come to learn more about yourself through a more spiritual lens. Indeed, Pisces, we're just noticing how much your identity has shifted and changed, and you have welcomed those changes with such dignity, especially over the past few years. Thank you so much, Pisces. And with that, everybody, that concludes your horoscopes for the solar eclipse in Aries. I hope this video has prepared you for the solar eclipse. If you have found this video to be helpful, if you learned something new, you can always buy me a coffee. And I do just want to say again, thank you so much to the sponsor of today's video, Astopia. Make sure to check them out. Stay tuned for more. Make sure to like and subscribe, and I will catch you in the next one.